Hey, how's it going? So I wanted to go through some work basically which goes into extension work. So basically, like if you look at your posture right now, right, you can see in this kind of position here where our hips are going downwards and our ribs are pointed upwards. So they call that kind of like a scissor position, right, where you're kind of in that stack position. Ideally, we want to bring that into this position, right, where my rib cage is flared down and my ribs are stacked on top of my hips. So in that position there, I'm a lot more straighter than there, right? There's no control there, and there's control here. So there's a few things that we can do, right, to really own that movement. And it's called like anti-extension work, right? So our core has three different functions, all right? So anti-extension, all right, which gets you out of that position. Anti-rotation, all right, because you don't want to rotate too much because it'll hurt our spine. And then anti-lateral flexion. Anti-lateral flexion is basically like this movement here, right? And again, we don't do this because all that does is obviously those three movements want to protect our spine. So for yourself, it's thinking about rib cage down and breathing out, right? And when you force your breath out, your free rib cage flare down. So how can we do that? Basically, some very simple ones, right? Is just like is a dead bug, right? So if we lie on the floor, right, we don't want this arch in our back. We want to keep it flat on the floor, right? So we want to try and maintain contact the whole time. So if I think this, rib cage down, okay, abs stacked. Then from that position, what I can do is extend one leg at a time and fully exhale. As much as I can. Then I bring it in. I want to fill up here, so fill up as much as I can. And when you fill up, you want to fill up from your tummy. And fully breathe out. So we can do like 3 reps each side, yeah? And all the time, what I'm looking to do is not let the ribcage flare up. So obviously, as sometimes what happens, as you flare up, as you bring your knee out and your leg out, see this gap creates there? We don't want that. We want to keep it flat to the floor. So there's no gap there, right? And that's just going to give us better alignment of our hips, right? At the same time, what we can do as well, like that's number one. We can then go into like a bear crawl position, right? And we can hold a bear crawl hold. So here is another one, right? Because we don't want to get in this position. We want to be a little bit more stacked and controlled in that range, yeah. What I'm trying to do with this is my spine, I'm trying to separate my shoulder blades. I'm trying to lift my spine to the sky, right? So I'm not letting my body drop. I'm lifting up. I'm creating that tension, right? So you see the difference from there to here. So I'm really holding that and owning that position, all right? And loading up again, 10, 20, 30 seconds is a good start. Then we can get into a plank position. So straight legs. All right, is another good one. All right, listen, we don't want to see that. We don't see that. We want to tuck the pelvis in and hold that position. Again, 10, 20, 30, 40 seconds. Once we're good at that, what we can then do is take the slider that we have, or we can slide out and in with our hands, okay? Again, we can go like 3 one side and 3 the other side. When we extend out, we're placing more pressure in that anti-extension, right? So we're looking to kind of maintain a nice stable position so our back doesn't arch as we go out, right? So if we're in this position and we arch out, I don't want to see that, right? I want to see your back stacked as you reach out and your spine's in a nice stable position, okay? So there's the 3 exercises I would do to start with. In the dead bugs, like I said, 3 reps per leg on each leg and 3 reps per arm on each arm. To start with, maybe like a few sets, 2 to 3 sets of that. Then you can go into the bear crawl position and do 3 sets of 10 to 20, 30 seconds. Focus on the abs, rib cage stacked. Yeah, not letting the lower back drop, but keeping it okay stacked. And then we can go into that plank, all right? Again, 10, 20, 30 seconds. A few sets of that, and once we get good at that, we can start extending out, all right, to really combat that stability in our back. Now what we can do as well, right, we can stretch the hip flexors. So sometimes what you generally find, right, is you've got relatively speaking, tighter quads. And what tighter quads do, like because they're here, your tighter quads are pulling your hip flexors down, right? Because they're tight. So we stretch them out. You should generally go from that to that position. Okay. So what we can do is this stretch a bit more. Yeah. So you see my body's not a straight line. I'm not like this, but from my knee, my hip, and my shoulder, it's a nice diagonal line. And we can push it as much as you can. What we can start to do then is hold this leg here, or put it up against the wall. All right, so we're stretching our quad a little bit more so as well. All right, and again, holding that position for like 10 to 20 seconds to 30 seconds is a really good one. All right, squeezing that right butt cheek if my right knee is down, and really opening up the gate here, and then the same on the other side. Yeah, so we can really hold and own that position, stacking it there. And then again, obviously we can, once we get more advanced, we can do this position, or we can back up against the wall and hold that position. And then they're like the go-tos to start with, right? If you've got the foam roller, what we can do, lastly, all right, is roll our thighs and our hips like so. Okay, and that should give us a little bit of pressure. So I'm slightly leaning on the side here, all right? We just want to, at the top of the thigh, around the hip area, at the front of the hip, and that should, generally speaking, be quite a good position to be in, all right? But all these little ones here will help you with that kind of position you're in. I'd say do this like 3 times a week, all right? Start with foam rolling, 30 seconds per side, go into the stretches, again, what I just showed, at half kneeling position, 30 seconds per side, and then go into the movements. Let me know if that makes sense.